Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ramba Academy. Today we're going to be showing you some of my favorite movements and motions using the G command. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like and leave a comment on what you think about this video. And don't forget to follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter. Let's not waste any time and jump straight into my computer and show you what we're talking about today. Okay, so let's open up any file, doesn't really matter. I'm going to open up a user interface C file. Let's turn on some syntax highlighting to make it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. And let's turn on some line numbers. So the first command, which I want to show you guys, is going to be the jump to line command. So there's two ways to jump to a specific line. So there's using normal mode and there's using command mode. So using command mode, what you would do is type in colon and then the line number you want to jump to. For example, line 20. And that's going to jump me to line 20 of the program, as you can see there. But let's say that I want to jump to line 40, but I don't want to go into command mode. I could do this using normal mode using the G command. So what I can do is I can type in the line number I want to jump to and press capital G, so Shift G. And that's going to jump you to that specific line number, which as you can see is line 40, which is right here, which is a blank line. Now the next command which I want to talk to you about is to jump to definition globally and locally. So let's say that you are reading some functions in the file which you're given and you want to see every single time that function has been used in that specific file. You can do that. If you want to see every single time that function is used globally, like all the files in your current directory, wait until I drop the video in C tags and I'll show you how to do that using C tags. But right now it's only going to be limited to this specific file. So what I'll do is I'll go on the header declaration, which I want to find, which is this function, which is check file write succeeded. And what I'll press is Shift and capital D. And that's going to jump to the time which I've used it, which you can see is line 121. If I want to go to the next instance of the time which I've used this function, I can press N. And it's going to go again to the next instance which I've used it. For this case, I've only used it once, so it's going to go back to the function declaration. So I can press N to go next. If there's more times you've used the function, it's going to go through every single step. And if you want to go back in the reverse direction, so search backwards, what you can do is press capital N, which is Shift N. Now the next one is going to be local search. So let's find a function which has some variables. So let's say that I am reading this function and I want to determine what type of data type a specific variable is or where a variable has been declared. I can do that by hovering my cursor on top of the variable which I want to find, and I'm going to press Shift lowercase d, and that's going to go to where that variable is declared. So what I could do is going to press Shift and lowercase d, and that's going to jump, and I can see that that stop variable is going to be an integer. If I press N, it's going to go back to where I came from. If I press N again, it's going to go to the next instance that variable is used. And I can keep going and keep going and keep going. And then of course, if I press Shift N, it's going to go back in the reverse direction. For example, if I want to see what game log is, I can go Shift lowercase d, and it's going to show me that game log is going to be a linked list. That is global definitions. Now let's say that you want to go to a file. So you're importing a file into your C program, your Python program, your Java program, doesn't matter what language it is. I can jump straight to the file using Vim. So let's go back to the top where I have declared some header files which I use in this program. So let's say if I want to go into the header file user interface.h, all I can do is can I press G and lowercase f, and that's going to jump into that header file. And as you can notice at the bottom, it's going to tell me that I am in that file which I have had my cursor underneath. So it's saying, hey, you're in user interface.h now. And then as you can see, this is going to be the header file of that thing. And this is where jump lists kind of come helpful as well. So if you don't know what jump lists are, refer to my previous last two videos, which I'm talking about jump lists. Okay, so let's say that you want to go back to where you came from in terms of the file. You can do that using the commands which you learned in the jump list video, which is either Control O or Control I. So let's press Control O to go back to where I jumped from, which is user interface.h. Let's see that happening one more time to see that in action a little bit more. So if I press G, lowercase f, I'm going to jump into that file, and then jump back, I'll press Control O. As you can see, this can be very, very powerful. You know, I don't have to exit Vim, open up another file, or open up a file in a different screen and read that file. I can just have everything in one screen and have full expressivity of where I want to go. Now the next command which I want to show you is going to be the big brother of this go to file command. What this command does is that it's going to go to a file given a specific line number. So this is going to be helpful when you have your terminal open beside Vim. This video is not going to show you how to use a terminal, but I'm going to give you a quick crash course on how to use a terminal on Vim. But in the later videos, I'm going to go more into depth on how to use the terminal. But simply to open up the terminal, you go into command mode by typing colon and then type in term. And that's going to open up a terminal split. If you want to move that terminal down, you can press Control W, Shift J, and that's going to move that terminal down. And here you can run your commands, which you would typically run in your terminal. Now I want to show you what this capital GF code is going to do. So let's say I'm going to compile this file. I have typed in this word hey, which is a purpose mistake, and that compiler is going to pick up the error. So let's go GCC user interface .c and output as test. And you're going to see that the compiler is going to complain saying that, hey, you have an error on line 13, capital 1, and we don't know what this is. So instead of trying to find where this error is, obviously you're going to be doing this for code which you have written many lines of. We can clearly see where the error is, but when you don't, what you can do is you can press Control W, Shift N to go into normal mode. Go to the place where the error has happened, which is here, and press G, capital F, and that should jump to that specific line number of where that error has happened. It should have jumped to that line number, but for some reason there's still a job running back in the background. So just for the sakes of demonstration, I'm just going to copy this somewhere random into my file and show you what that does. So let's say that I paste this at the top. Now if I press G capital F, it's going to jump to that specific file and that specific line number. Since that said line 13 previously, that's going to jump to line 13. But let's say if I change this to like line 40, notice that this is going to jump straight to line 40, as you can see. Obviously, it's going to be useful when you have the terminal open inside of Vim and you're making changes, debugging, and then you get errors and you just jump straight to that error instead of trying to open that file and then manually find that error. So it's just a little step change of progress. So another useful G command, which I would like to show you, is going to be in relation to the navigation keys. So let's say that I have a line which is one line, but it's going to be wrapped around multiple lines. For example, let's join these lines together by pressing Shift G. And as you can see, this whole entire line is going to be line 93. Now notice when I use the navigation keys, when I press K, it's going to jump above that line, but it's going to skip all that text. But let's say that if I want to make a change somewhere in the middle of the sentence, what you'll typically do is you'll hold the left arrow key or the left navigation key, go the way which you want to change that text. But what G allows you to do is just to go up and down a line as you see it on the program. For example, if I press GK, it's going to go up one line. GK is going to go up one line without skipping the whole entire line. GK, it's going to go up one, GK, go up, and GK. To demonstrate once again, to drive this point home, if I press J, it's going to skip that whole entire line, right? So it's going to go to the first line, it's going to skip the whole entire line after. But if I press GJ, it's going to go one line as you see it on the screen. So that is going to be the navigation keys using the G command. Now another two commands which I want to show you is going to be the G star and the G hashtag command. So previously we looked at the star command, which is going to search for the word which is underneath your cursor, but it's going to be for the whole entire word. So for example, if I go to user select, it's going to look for words which match user select exactly, right? But let's say that I don't know what variable or what word I'm looking for, but all I know is that it's going to have the word user in it. So let's go user. And I want to match everything which has user as a subset or as a substring in a bigger string. For example, this will match with user select, user player, user go, or whatever, anything with user. So if I press G, then star, see it's going to match to user select. If I press next, it's going to go to the word user. So it's going to match anything which matches with user or anything which has a substring of user in that thing. And as always, the star command is to go forward, and then this hashtag command is to go backwards. So it does the exact same thing, except it's going to search in the opposite direction. I'm not going to demonstrate that because it's going to be a bit trivial. So that's the G star and the G pound command. Now let's talk about the GE and the GN command. So the GE command is very similar to the B command. So let's go and find a piece of text. So the B command is just to go back a word, but you're going to go to the very first character. So if I press B, it's going to go to the very first character of that word, and press B, very first character of that word. But what the GE command does, it's going to go to the very last character of the last word. So for example, here it's going to jump backwards, but it's going to land on the letter O instead of P. So GE is going to land on O. Now if I do it again, it's going to land on the letter M instead of T. So that is the difference between the GE command and the B command. Okay, another fun command which I want to show you is going to be the GN command. So what this command is, it's going to jump to your search, but it's going to highlight to that search. For example, the last time we searched for the word user. So if I press GN somewhere up here, it's gonna jump to that word, but it's gonna highlight as well. So if I press GN, it's gonna jump to that word and highlight that word. Now if I press N again, it's gonna jump to the next instance of user, but it's gonna highlight doing that again as well. So let's say if you have two markers in your file, which are comments, which is gonna be the word start and the word end, or start and start, you can search for the word start with using GN and then go next to jump to the next word of start, and that's gonna highlight all those things, and you can delete those things out of your program if you would like to. So that is the GN command. That concludes my video of my favorite G commands to learn. And as always, don't forget, if you want to learn more about the G command or trying to remind yourself on what of these commands we learned, what you can do is you can type in help and then G. And then the help menu, which is going to have all the lists of the G commands which are available in Vim, will pop up. As you can see, there are many more other commands which begin with G. So that's it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, tell me your thoughts, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.